Wales to plant 86 million trees in 9 years to combat climate crisis.
Here's a summary of the article.
Wales needs to plant 86 million trees over the next decade, massively increasing the amount currently being planted. Last year, just 290 hectares of woodland was planted in Wales, but 43,000 new hectares is needed in the next 9 years. In a written statement to Senedd members, Deputy Climate Change Minister Lee Waters says planting more trees will not only help avoid catastrophic climate change but will create jobs, address the nature emergency, increasing well-being, and mitigating flooding and air quality issues. Welsh Government has already committed to a national forest for Wales, however it said this target will not be met by Welsh Government planting the trees, but by the communities, farmers and other landowners across Wales. A trees task force has been meeting, which found that current Welsh Government funding for tree planting has been too inconsistent and difficult to access. While it is important to ensure that new woodland is planted in the right places and in the right way, the process for doing this is too slow and bureaucratic. Welsh Government has committed £17 million to tree planting over the next 2 years, and that will be reopened to allow more applications and ensure the full budget is spent. The task force has also considered what changes are required across the timber supply chain to encourage greater use of Welsh timber and fibre in construction, with Welsh Government saying that to meet net zero will mean using more timber.
This post received a score of 6,300, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Can we get that down to 9 months?
You can't just pick an arbitrary number. Anyways, this whole thing is pointless. We cut down 2.5 million trees a day, so it will be cancelled out pretty fast.
But you're comparing a day on Earth to what a single tiny country is doing. Canada is planting another 2 billion trees over this time, the US about 10 billion over this time. If every country did what Wales was doing, per capita, that would be 24 billion trees a year, which dwarfs the 2.5 million day. In other words, if every other country pulled the same weight as Wales, the amount we cut would equal 3.8% of the trees we are planting.
I like that line of thinking. My biggest concern is what type of trees are being planted. I've read studies that point the finger towards the trees being planted are ones that retain a commercial value and not the varieties of the local fauna. I hope it's a conservation effort and not a put the cost on the taxpayers for a future lumber project.
While the issue of the type of trees is being discussed, I just hope they keep planting trees. But I'm all in favor of native plants. I've been slowly building up bee and bird-friendly native plants and shrubs in the 2 properties I take care of, neither of which have or will have any lawn whatsoever.
Underwater?
In the air, they planning to take flight since we've destroyed the oceans.
Would trees themselves really have much of an effect on the climate though? 86 million seems like a big number, but it's actually relatively small.
Trees have several important functions for combating climate change. 1. Reducing carbon in the atmosphere. 2. Providing an albedo effect. 3. Encouraging rich ecosystems. 4. Some trees, or plants they encourage, help to remove toxins from the environment itself.
I'm not against it by any means, but there are an estimated 3 trillion trees on the planet. It's great they're doing a part, but even 86 mil trees is about a 0.00003% growth.
It matters, but it's not nearly enough. If emissions aren't aggressively reduced, then we're going to get increasing desertification, which means more wildfires and more tree loss. Somebody get China more nuclear plants, please. Getting China off coal fast would have a huge impact.
Just something for general knowledge on reversing desertification.
Upvote for something that too many people just don't get. While I'm all on board with reduced meat consumption and vegetarianism where practical, simply adopting good grazing practices makes a world of difference. Going back to natural pre-human grasslands where appropriate, with deer and so forth forming the same role would also be fine, but less practical in many areas. At least recognizing the vital role of grazing animals is a big step.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.